Hiya, friends. Prepared Suburbanite back at ya. Well, it's Monday. How about that? Monday the 20th. And I guess there was some good news and some bad news over the weekend, but I'll leave that for other folks to discuss. What I wanted to talk about today is the bottom line is for me, prepping ain't for sissies. So stick around. So what I mean by prepping ain't for sissies, I think it's kind of like parallel with getting old ain't for sissies. I spent a little bit of time over the weekend looking at some past history in our budget and realized how much money we have spent on being more self sufficient and more prepared. And I was basically shocked at how much money we have invested in this insurance policy for us. So it truly ain't for sissies because you've got to have the, the means and the wherewithal to deal with the expense of being prepared. And it's everything from water totes to generators to maintenance on your equipment and your generators. It just seems like it's pretty much everything, even before you start buying beans and rice and making sure your larder's filled up and that you're dealing with rotating your canned goods and making sure you've got enough flour and sugar and all that kind of stuff that we're going to need when the day comes, or if the day comes, that the S hits the fan. But looking at the numbers, I was pretty much shocked at how much money we've really spent. And it's certainly enough to buy a second Jeep or a new pickup truck or go on an extended cruise vacation somewhere if that appeals to you. And we set those kinds of things aside, and maybe we shouldn't have, but we made it a priority to be more self sufficient and be more prepared. And every week we spend a little bit of time and a little bit of money making sure that we've got our stuff taken care of. And I hope you're doing the same out there. But when I say it ain't for sissies, you've got to really understand the dynamics of being prepared. And it's not just a passing fancy, it's not something that you're going to get to next week. It's a lifestyle. And if you live the lifestyle, you budget accordingly, you spend the money without remorse, making sure that you've got the things that you need, all the necessities of life in the event that something terrible does happen. And it could be anything from a freaky weather storm, tornadoes, hurricanes, to civil unrest, to a crisis at our southern border, to the potential for Russia and China to get together to challenge us for world leader positions, which I think is pretty darn close right now, given the weakness of the current administration. But we need to be prepared for what's potentially going to happen. And then you say, well, do I have my priorities in the right order? Am I preparing for the right stuff? Am I budgeting properly? Am I setting aside the right kind of funds to make sure that I can enjoy life as well as being prepared? And I thank the good Lord that we are that we planned our retirement pretty darn well, and that we're able to live comfortably and have a little bit left over at the end of the month when all things are said and done. And we can afford to do things like being prepared. We can afford to do things like taking short vacations dealing with all the maintenance stuff that we've got to do on a nearly 50-year-old home. And it ain't for sissies because it takes a lot of discipline, takes a little bit of sacrifice, it takes 1 ton of planning. And I really think that that's one of the things that a lot of folks don't really take into consideration. I can remember a conversation that I had with some friends at church, and at the time we were buying 40-pound boxes of chicken breasts, basically. And they looked at me like, yeah, well, I just got back from picking up a 40-pound box of chicken breasts. Oh my God, what are you going to do with 40 pounds of chicken breast? There's just the two of you. Well, it'll last a few weeks, a few months, but we're going to have to do it again in a few months, and we're going to have to do it again a few months after that. Why do you ask? Well, I just couldn't imagine. See, what they're used to is being able to go to the grocery store and picking up a couple packages of chicken legs or chicken breasts or wings or whatever, and have that for an upcoming meal, and then they're all set. And the next time they go to the grocery store, they may buy some more chicken or some hamburgers or a couple of steaks or roast of beef, some pork chops, pork loins. But that's what they're used to. They've never really started thinking outside that box that they live in, that they go to the grocery store every week. Now, I go to the grocery store pretty much every week anyway. It's just to fill in the gaps that we create during the week. Excuse me. And but I don't rely on that weekly grocery trip to make sure that I've got everything that I need. We order special order kinds of meats and chicken and things like that from meat wholesalers, I guess is the best way to put it. I'm not going to get into any detail on that because I can't be supporting or sponsoring or anything like that. So, but I would say that it's well worth knowing that we've got two freezers full of chicken breasts, chicken legs, wings, hamburgers, steaks, ham, you name it, we've got it in those freezers. Frozen vegetables and all that kind of stuff. And when we do buy, we try to buy in bulk. And that's part of not being overwhelmed by whatever's going to happen when the S does hit the fan, or we end up having to be totally dependent on ourselves to make sure that we can get through the next however many days, whether it's a week or 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months. We can do it, and you can do it too if you put a plan together, look at your budget very hard, know where you need to sacrifice, know where you need to cut back on things. I think that's the biggest. We don't go to movies anymore because they basically suck. We don't go out to dinner that much anymore. We may pick up some takeout here and there, but we don't go to restaurants anymore. It's just too darn expensive. And the money that we save by not doing that kind of stuff, that goes back into either having fun at home, living our lives, or being prepared. And I hope you do the same thing. But take a good hard look at your budget. Take a good hard look at what you've got for your food stores inventory, and fill in the gaps as you can. And remember, prepping ain't for sissies. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see y'all on the next video.